In Abeokuta, on the outskirts, near an old rocky hill, there stood a house that no one had touched for years. Its walls were cracked, its zinc roof half torn away by storms. Yet, people crossed the road whenever they neared it. Children refused to walk past at dusk, and even Okada riders spat on the ground before speeding by. The house once belonged to Chief Adetayo, a wealthy man who died in 1998 under strange circumstances. Rumor had it that he performed rituals inside the house, rituals that demanded more than goat or chicken. Some whispered about missing apprentices. Others swore they saw Chief's car arriving at midnight, headlights off, carrying bodies wrapped in white clothes. When he died, the compound became silent but not empty. For 2 decades, the house stood untouched. But in 2018, a group of university students from FUNAB, eager to prove their bravery, decided to spend the night inside. They had heard too many whispers. The house eats people. Blood drips from the ceiling on moonless nights. You will hear Chief still chanting his rituals. To them, it sounded like a ghost stories. They wanted proof. One rainy Saturday in July 2018, 5 of them entered with torches, cameras, and bottles of gin. At first, the house seemed ordinary. Dusty floors, cobwebs, broken furniture. They laughed at the warnings, drinking and recording themselves. But then, things began to change. Their torches flickered at the same time. A clock, not broken, began to tick. One student swore he saw footprints on the dusty floor, wet footprints leading deep inside. They followed the trail into the inner room when the walls were covered in faded chalks marking